Good afternoon and welcome to Solent Sports News. I'm Liam Davies with your 3:30 Bulletin. An independent report has found that Southampton Football Club failed to act and put a stop to former youth coach Bob Higgins' actions. The coach was jailed for 24 years back in 2019 after being found guilty of sexually abusing trainee footballers in the 1970s and 80s. Here's clips from an exclusive interview with Dean Radford, a victim of Higgins' crimes.
We weren't sure how Bernardo's were going to delve into this, how much detail they would go into, and whether they would be sort of sitting on the fence at all. But gladly, when I read through it, I could see that they'd give an honest and very thorough investigation into what had gone on over the years. And I was really, really grateful to them, really, for saying basically how it was. But it's been really sort of supportive. Everyone's reactions on Facebook, Twitter, has been very, very supportive. And I would say the club's apology that they put in the report, I did think it sounded sort of heartfelt, really. I was upset, I was crying, but at the same time I was excited because I actually thought, God, people are going to start talking about this now. This is another chance that I can get chance to get some justice. It was a big step in all this coming forward again. But we was looking at the press and they were crying, and of course it was a really big thing,
I'm now joined by Mickey Girasati, who spoke to Dean earlier. Mickey, that's quite a clearly moving interview there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, Liam. And to be honest, there's something that we need to understand is who Bob Higgins was to these kids back then. He was coaching under 15-year-olds, and he was creating kind of this cult for them. He was becoming this god for all of them. And another thing you need to understand is that he was their one ticket towards professional football. He was the only person that could say whether these guys are going to potentially play professional football or move up the ranks. So for all of them, having football such an important thing growing up in their lives, and especially someone like Dean, he's mentioned it quite a few times, his dream was in the hands of, well, what we can call now this monster, really.
Does he feel like justice has been served now then?
It's a tricky topic because Dean was one of the first people to ever speak up about the topic and the abuse he went through back in '91. But unfortunately back then there wasn't enough evidence. So Bob Higgins was acquitted and continued on his abuse and his job, really. So when he tried to press charges again in 2016, it failed because of something called the double jeopardy rule, which states that unless it's a so-called serious crime, which apparently to the justice system this isn't, you can't press the same charges against the same person twice. So in Dean's personal case, Bob Higgins wasn't punished for his abuse. However, he took 24 years for 24 other victims, which Dean is pretty happy about, to be honest.
So how have Southampton Football Club responded, as they obviously commissioned the report?
Yeah, they released a statement. They've been very apologetic of the whole story, and were very open to everything. But they also commissioned the report that went on and researched everything that went throughout the case, and the one that Dean was just talking about in the interview. Not only that, they also, at the top of the statement, you can download a PDF version of the complete and full report, and they've been really apologetic. And someone like Dean feels that has been a very heartfelt apology, like he says.
Great, thank you very much for your time, Mickey.
Thank you.
After Aziri Rafiq's claims of systematic racism within cricket led to the resignation of several top officials, the sporting world is once again facing an inquest regarding the removal of all forms of discrimination. With racism and homophobia still very much a part of football, we sent our reporters Luke Woodley-Marshall and Harry Clark to investigate.
With racist and anti-Semitic abuse dominating the headlines within the sporting industry over the past fortnight, the need to battle against discrimination is as important as ever. With sporting governing bodies under increased pressure to clamp down on discrimination, we spoke to former Yeovil defender Nathan Smith about what still needs to be done.
Obviously when situations are arising, you're still seeing, people that are committing racial abuses not really getting sanctioned for too long compared to, you know, other stuff, other situations.
So obviously this kick it out is in place. It's been in place for quite a long time now. Do you feel the support from them is good enough?
It's hard because obviously they can only do so much. You know, they can only implement so much from what they're trying to do. You know, obviously, I've seen circumstances where some of the players feel like, well, a player that I know wasn't there when he actually experienced the situation, but he made reference to that. You know, kick it out. They didn't really do anything, and they didn't really help him with anything. So. It's hard to really say, but again, like I said, they can only do as much as what they can do from their point there.
Although it's not just a professional game that these issues remain prevalent, as a racist abuse incident was reported during Bristol Telephones' match against Tiverington Rocks earlier this month. Martin McConaughey has been involved in amateur football for over 30 years and admits there's still a lot of work to be done to tackle the same issues that existed during his playing days.
No, it's I actually know Liam personally as well, which is it's not particularly nice to see someone I know being racially abused like that. I mean, there's always rivalries in football, and people get annoyed with players from the opposition, but many lines were crossed by the abuse that Liam took that night. And unless it's stamped out now, it will get worse because there are more and more officials coming through from BME backgrounds, in particular for the potential for racial abuse. As far as any general sort of abuse is, then with stuff like VAR and everything coming into the game, it's only going to make abuse more likely, and therefore there has to be suitable punishments for it.
There is still plenty of work to be done to make sure football remains everyone's game. Luke Woodley-Marshall, Solent Sports News.
In Premier League football, Saints captain James Ward-Prowse is set to receive his 200th Premier League start against Liverpool this Saturday. The 27-year-old midfielder has been with the club since 2011 and will hope to cap off this milestone with a win at Anfield. Newcastle United manager Eddie Howe will be in the dugout tomorrow for the first time since taking over. The Englishman tested negative for COVID-19 this morning and is set to take charge of the Magpies match against Arsenal. With Newcastle's huge new transfer budget, Gunners manager Mikel Arteta expressed his concern at players being attracted to the North East side.
When players start to decide something else because they need something different in their futures, and that happens with any club that has the financial power to convince anybody, or has other capacities. Sometimes it's not a financial power, sometimes it's a sporting reason, sometimes it's a family reason, something is a problem of adaptation. There are many different cases.
Sources believe the Lokomotiv Moscow board have agreed to let Ralf Rangnick go to Manchester United. It is being reported that the German will sign his contract at the beginning of next week and will be in charge against Arsenal. With it being Black Friday today, the customers will be filling the shops looking for the best possible deals. Part of this will be fitness stores with the best gym gear on offer. This does bring the question, does having the nicer fitness clothing make you more likely to go to the gym? Our reporter, Jack Bishop, has more.
A recent psychological study found that people are heavily influenced on how to act based on the clothes they're wearing. The report suggested that designer fitness wear like Gymshark and Lululemon encourages people to get to the gym and work out. New Year's resolutions are still a few weeks away, but with today being Black Friday, perhaps there's no better time to get involved in exercise. Stores like JD and Sports Direct are full of sales on gym gear and running shoes, and shoppers are piling in to make the most of this day of discounts. Solent alumni George Hopcraft lost 3 stone during lockdown, and he says designer fitness wear made him feel more confident in and out of the gym since its reopening.
I was about 17 stone, which was quite big. You know, I wasn't happy about myself, about my size. So I was like, I need to make a change. Then started working out during lockdown. See, the gyms weren't open. So I got into the whole, you know, working out at home, going on runs and making use of my time. And that's when I bought my first sort of Gymshark sort of gear, because I've always I've always thought it's nice stuff. And then obviously since I lost weight, I was a bit more confident in my appearance and what I would wear.
But have name brands made their mark on Solent Sports Complex, where the uni's high-performance athletes train on a daily basis?
I'm Sam, and I work at the Solent Sports Complex reception.
Sam, do you see a lot of people come in designer fitness gear these days?
Well, we see a lot of people come through in various gear, so we've got some that come in their official Solent tops and stuff, but yeah, we get a lot of Gymshark and stuff like that coming through, you know. There's a lot of nice pieces of kit that come through.
So if designer workout clothes really do make us feel more confident in the gym, perhaps today's Black Friday sales are the perfect opportunity to start a fitness journey. Jack Bishop for Solent Sports News in Southampton.
Team GB gymnast Matt Whitlock confirmed his intentions to take part in the 2024 Paris Olympics last night. Speaking at the GB Ball, the three-time Olympic gold medalist announced that he would be in a running for his 4th consecutive Games.
For me, yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to make it for Olympic Games. This cycle, being a shorter cycle now, actually helps me out. I'm 28 years old, which is getting on slightly as a gymnast. But I think that's really exciting. For me, pommel horse has always been my focus, as a lot of people know. That will be the case moving forwards as well.
In boxing, George Kambosos Jr. is looking to make history by becoming the first ever Australian-born champion when he faces the unified lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez tomorrow night. If Kambosos was to pull off an upset in this high-stakes bout, it would end the champion's undefeated streak of 16 wins, with 12 of those coming by way of knockout. Formula 1 now, and the Spanish Grand Prix has been confirmed on the F1 calendar until 2026, after a new deal was signed this morning. As part of the new deal, improvements to both the track and facilities will be made ahead of next season as the circuit looks to progress with its sustainability plans. Sticking with F1, Haas driver Nikita Mazepin's father Dmitry has revealed he is ready to ramp up his backing of American-owned Haas team and has not ruled out buying the team outright. Mazepin is listed in the top 100 wealthiest businessmen in Russia and has reiterated that he has long-term plans to expand his presence in Formula 1. In cricket, this morning saw Australia announce fast bowler Pat Cummins as their new Test captain ahead of the upcoming Ashes. The news came just hours after former Test captain Tim Payne announced he was taking a leave of absence due to an investigation into sexually explicit text he sent to a female colleague. Day 2 of India's Test against New Zealand drew to a close earlier today. Openers Tom Latham and Will Young produced a solid unbeaten century stand as New Zealand reached 129 for no loss, in reply to India's 345 in the first innings on Day 2 of the Kanpur Test. In golf, Lee Westwood has ruled himself out of captaining Europe in the 2023 Ryder Cup. He has the joint most appearances at the tournament, having featured 11 times, but doesn't want to put himself in the running for the captaincy. Westwood cited trying to stay at the top level as the reason he wouldn't commit to being the Team Europe captain. Solent Kestrels face Bristol in the Men's National Cup this week. Our reporter Jack Brazil has more.
Thanks, Liam. I'm here at the Solent Sports Complex, home of Solent Basketball. The second team were victorious here on Wednesday, and we were there to cover all the action. Team Solent's Division 1 basketball squad took on Bristol in the Men's National Trophy. Currently undefeated through all league play, team captain Robbie Long says they maintained a business-as-usual approach for the elimination game.
It's nothing different than any other game that we'd do. So, yeah, go to training, we'd run through our set plays. Like this week, our last session, just went through, crisped up on everything, made sure everybody knew their positions on the set plays. Yeah, same thing for every game. I mean, we went into it with open mindset, like there could be a good team. We didn't know much about this team, we hadn't played them before. So we went in thinking, yeah, playing our best, like we always do.
They cruised to a dominant 104-61 win, with scoring contributions from every player, led by 26 points from Harris Kiosis. The comfortable margin of victory allowed coach Craig Hughes to give his players space to make live adjustments.
They hit us pretty fast in the first quarter, but we knew how to deal with it, so we absorbed the blow. Then from the second quarter onwards, we felt that we were in control of the game. It was a good example of team I didn't need to call any times out. They've got the resilience to be able to sort out these kinks themselves.
Solent are once again on pace for a championship season after being promoted into the men's Western Tier 1 League, following their undefeated run in the 2019-2020 season. However, this time they are shooting for a perfect season, avenging the loss they suffered against Plymouth in the Cup semi-final. Going forward, the focus for the team will be on their defence and staying mentally engaged.
When we go back to training, we'll carry on working on our sets, especially defensively, so we just make sure that our rotations, everyone knows where they need to be, and we always just make sure that when we go first to the fourth quarter, that there are no lapses in concentration. If there are any, we just try and adjust those as quickly as possible.
They will face Hertfordshire at home in the next round on the 2nd of February. Jack Brazil for Solent Sports News.
That's all from me today here on Solent Sports News. Thank you very much for tuning in.